Hi everyone, I'm Aman Maurya. So whenever we are creating any React Native application, it generates lots of files and folders. In this part, we will understand the use and purpose of these files and folders. And that will help us to know the React Native application flow, code flow, configuration, entry point, exit point, everything. All right, so there are three important sections. Firstly, I will tell you the important files for beginners because there are lots of files. And if you are a beginner, then you can go through with some files. And that will help you to understand the code flow and project structure, and you can start with your project. Otherwise, after that, I will explain to you the other remaining files and folders also. And at last, we will cover important interview questions. So these are the important files. So if you are a beginner, and if you want to just quick start with your application, then you can just go through with these files and you are ready to go. For beginners, and if you just want to understand React Native application code flow and structure in depth, then you can go with the old files that we will cover in this video also. All right, so firstly, I will tell you about the package.js, and then index.js, app.js, or app.jsx. JS means we are writing code in JavaScript. JSX means we are writing code in TypeScript, right? So this is basically Node.jsx. It should be TSX. Now this is correct. After that, we will go through with the web configuration file, and we will understand three important folders, which are Node modules, iOS, and Android. And after that, we will go through with all the other remaining files and folders. All right, so now let's start with our project. These are all files and folders, and let's start with package.json. So as I told you, this is really important. And you can say that if anyhow you lost this file, your project will not gonna work. This is the only file that will just keep all details of your project, like project name, version, and commands of your project. Here, you can see that inside the script, we have all the commands of your project. After that, dependencies. These are the main libraries. And these are the, you can see, development or helping libraries kind of thing. So everything is mentioned here. If anyhow you lose this file, your project will not gonna work. Then anyhow, you have to restore this file. And the second thing is index.js. So you can say that this is the entry point of JavaScript in your application. It will register all components with your application. We know that in a React Native application, we are not having only JavaScript code. We have other codes also, like iOS and Android. That will be in Java or in Kotlin also. But we basically write all our code inside JavaScript only. So what will this file do? It will register our JavaScript code with your application. And this line will help us to understand app registry. That means we are registering our component to the app. Perfect. After that, app.tsx. And from there, we start writing our code. Even you can change the name of this file, or you can just put any other index.js, right? But if you are a beginner, then you can just start only with this file. And that will be the first file from where you can start your React Native code. So guys, now let's talk about babel.config.js. So if you're using an older system or older browser, maybe your system or browser is not supporting ECMAScript 2015 plus code. That time, Babel will actually come into use, right? It will change the ECMAScript 2015 plus code into backward compatible JavaScript code. Right, so let me just explain to you a bit. So now let's say you are writing ECMAScript 2015 plus code in your application, right? But your system doesn't understand it because this is not up to date, right? Due to any reason, maybe the system configuration, or you can say that your emulator is older, or your browser is not supporting it. And what it will do, it will change this code to some older version of JavaScript that is compatible with your browser or system. So if you want to add some configuration for that, then you can add it there. Cool. After that, node_modules. So whenever we are working with any front-end application, it could be a React application, React Native, Vue, or Angular. That time, we need lots of external libraries, and all these external libraries are downloaded there. You can see that there are lots of downloaded libraries. And maybe you can ask that till now, we did not install any package or any external library. Then how did they come there? Whenever we are installing our application, lots of dependencies, dev dependencies, are getting installed and downloaded inside the node_modules folder. Perfect. After that, there are two more important folders for beginners, which are Android and iOS. Both are responsible for converting JavaScript code to Android, as well as iOS code whenever we are building our application. So these are the important files. I hope I covered everything. So now let's talk about the other files and folders. Now you can see that there is a TS configuration. That is TypeScript configuration. So if you want to change maybe some conventions or version of TypeScript, or maybe some rules and protocols, and you can just add your configuration there. But how can we add this? You can ask that question, but that is the part of some other video. That will be the part of some other video, because there we are only discussing the file, not configuration and all. After that, we already discussed the package.json and package-lock.json files. The package.json file will just keep the details of your project, but the package-lock.json file will keep the details of your internal packages also. I am just explaining this to you. So here you can see that maybe you need a React package or React Native package. Its version is mentioned there. But these packages are internally using some other packages, right? And maybe, let's say, talk about Babel runtime. This version of it is mentioned there, but maybe this Babel is actually internally using some other packages also. That time, all the details are just kept by the package-lock.json. I can just show you there. So if you just open any package, maybe let's say Babel, and inside Babel, just open the parser, then you can see that there is again a package.json file, and there are again some dependencies, dev dependencies, and all. So the complete tree hierarchy of dependencies is just mentioned. Or you can say that details of these packages are added inside the package-lock.json file. So now let's talk about the metro.config.json file. This will help us to refresh in real time in our application. So let me show you. I am just making some changes in the app.js. Let me show you. So this is our emulator, and if I am just making some changes there, let's say hello to hi, right? And I am saving it. I am just normally saving it. I did not refresh this browser. This is automatically refreshing. So how does this happen? Metro is checking all the time if there is some change. Then it has to refresh automatically. And how is this checking? Watchman. The Watchman config file is always checking in the background if there are any changes in our application. If there are any changes in the application, and if there are any changes found, then it will instruct the Metro module to just refresh the screen. So both Metro and Watchman will work. So the next thing is the gem file. Actually, the gem file is basically used inside Ruby. Now you can ask, like, why are we using Ruby there in a React Native project? So this will help us to debug our project with the browser. So if you want to make changes regarding debugging or Ruby, then you can just add the changes there also. So Babel and app.json are already discussed. Now let's go with the app.json file. This will basically keep the basic details of your application, like application name, display name, if they are both similar. Or maybe you can add some description and other meta tags also if you want. And now the prettier RCC file. See, the prettier RCC file basically just helps you to make your code formatting, or you can say application code formatting, like when we are writing any code, right? So if I am just applying the formatting here, you can see that there are some minor changes for white spaces, or you can say tabs and all. So we can configure all of these things inside this file. After that, the node version. So this will tell us which version we are currently using for the node. React Native. This is related to Git, actually. So if you want to ignore something that we don't want to upload on our Git server, then we can add it there. ESLint-RC basically, if you want to add some convention or configuration with ECMAScript, then you can add it there. After that, there is a bundle. So inside the bundle, whenever we are generating our application build, the build will be generated there, and tests will contain all our unit test cases. Thank you so much for watching this video.